Good afternoon. Following last week's webinar with David Phey, we are very fortunate again to have Mr. Phey with us to answer some of the questions that we weren't able to finish up last week. So let's jump straight into the questions. So one of the questions that the students are asking is that if they are students and they are interested in pursuing a career in marketing, so what are the kind of skills or opportunities they need to expose themselves to?
Hi everyone, and thank you for coming back to listen to these answers. On this question, I actually noticed that there were a few other questions in a similar vein. For example, we're learning the subject economics in JC help lay foundation for marketing, or there is no formal marketing. What can I do now to prepare? So I think generally. The thing to recognize about marketing and marketing communications is you are likely to, through a career, come into many different industries and scenarios. So for example, if you were working in a advertising agency or a multinational media agency, you could end up working on a range of clients, from telecommunications to banking to uh, skincare and beauty, color cosmetic products. So you might engage across many different products. So one thing that you could certainly do in daily life, even outside of school programs, is familiarize yourself with different products and different ways that businesses market their products to understand what are the consumer offer and the trigger points for reactions on those different products. Of course, if you have certain products that you particularly are more interested in, for example, cars, right? You could begin to arm yourself with knowledge about that product and what you as a consumer like about that product. Certainly, certain knowledge sets like economics make sense because at some point in a marketing career, you would look at the cost of supply and production. You would look at a marketing budget and think about how you would assign that and divide that to different marketing activities and needs. So having some sense of balancing budgets, some sense of being able to apportion resources will come in handy. So, in to some extent, arming yourself with very broad, very wide knowledge and experience on many different fields will be helpful. In that same vein, one of the questions asked was, did my education in journalism come in handy when I joined the advertising industry? Actually, there's quite a lot of similarity. Journalism is about communicating the news or communicating a perspective or opinion on current affairs or events. And on the other hand, marketing communications is communicating the benefits of a certain product or service, or cause. Even if you're talking about advertising for a cause, right? You would be communicating likewise. One of the differences, though, in journalism, especially in reporting as opposed to opinion pieces, is the level of objectivity you need to provide and verification of the facts. For marketing communication, again, you cannot be telling untruths. You must still verify your facts and confirm your facts and report and promote only the truth of your product. But in marketing communications, you can be subjective rather than objective to present the best face to a message, right? So there are slight differences, but fundamentally, it is communications to a wide audience or a narrow audience, and it still stems from presenting the truths or facts of a story or a product to your consumer audience.
Okay, so the next question we have is, how does design come into play in marketing? So do marketers always work very closely with designers?
Okay, I think the first thing is to be a bit clear about the use of the word design. I think today when we talk about design thinking, right, or design, it can be quite a broad use of that term to talk about how you design a experience or design a product, uh, as opposed to designing an advertisement or designing a poster, right? So you can design a customer experience. For example, if you went into an Apple flagship store, that whole experience is designed, right? At the same time, if you look at producing and running an ad or a banner on a website, that banner needs to be designed. So, okay, in an advertising agency or design agency, uh, the typical design team comprises two parts. One, the copywriter, and two, the art director or designer, right? So in very broad terms, the copywriter is responsible for the words, and the designer is or art director is responsible for the visual presentation, the image, photography, illustration, of the ad, right? So the two together create the final advertising layout or copy, right? So yes, a marketeer will engage with design in many aspects, from the packaging to the store layout to the ad that is produced and placed into the media space. And yes, a marketeer or a marketing communication specialist will work with trained, experienced designers in producing those design work.
Hmm. So the next question that we have is, as a marketer, what are some tips that you would suggest to improving a product or brand's awareness among the target audience? And how do you go about increasing the product's market share? So this is
Now, this is a very good question. And it's very much to the heart of what a marketer deals with day to day. Very often, uh, very few products are unique, or and very few communications messages are unique. There's always competition, direct competition or indirect competition, right? If you're selling a car, your direct competition could be another brand of car. It could be an indirect competitor like commuting, right? So, so the so the marketer always has to ask this question of what is my targeted sales volume? What is my objective? And yes, brand awareness and market share are the primary objectives. In fact, I would say brand awareness is a very basic objective. The more relevant objective is actually brand preference. So if you think about it as a stairway, right? Stairway to heaven, so to speak. The first step is brand awareness. The second step is brand recall, then brand consideration. If the person shortlisted 2 or 3 brands to consider buying at the end, would yours be one of the shortlisted ones? And then after that, brand preference, where he chooses your brand to buy. And even one step higher would be brand championship or brand ambassadorship, where you would refer your favorite brand to your friends, and you actually, recommend your friends to use it. So there's this whole continuum of a brand relationship. Um, Certainly, when we spoke about media choices, a marketer has to think about media choices. There is research to say that, out of for a brand to achieve awareness and get recall, you need to reach that same person with your brand message or brand visual imagery at least 7 times, you know. And then the question of opportunity to see your ad or message versus actually seeing and registering your message. There's equation to that as well. You know, an opportunity to see, he walks past your thing doesn't mean that he sees and register, right? So there's a formula, there's a scientific way of calculating what is the reach or opportunity to see versus what is the actual receiving of the message and reaching that. So there are existing rules of thumb about what you need to do in order to achieve brand awareness amongst a certain target audience. Okay, and but the baseline is to ensure that across multiple media channels in the typical day in life or week in life or campaign period, you know, if it's a short promotion campaign, for example, McDonald's wants to promote their samurai burger for a small window of time, not the full year, but maybe just a month. How many times do I want you to see that samurai burger promotion message before I am confident you will remember this, you know, promotion and this product? And then, you know, furthermore, what do I need to do? Excite a certain response, excite a certain level of engagement before you start to consider and prefer the brand. So yes, there are things you can do, but the fundamental is media reach and opportunity to see in order to make sure that your message is received and embedded. Yeah. So now market share is a much larger question. It starts with, first of all, knowing your competition, right? And there are various, again, research studies available, like Euromonitor publishes a retail volume, you know, study every year that tells you in the supermarkets, in fact, ongoing, daily, weekly, monthly, this report is available in each supermarket or retail channel, which brand sold how much by volume or how much by revenue, okay, by sales volume, right? And you will be able to, in certain product categories, know how much your competitor are selling versus how much you are selling. Now, to increase your market share, there are many ways you can do it. Of course, one easy way is to drop your price, do a price promotion, be 20% cheaper, and one would think that you would at least gain some market share during that special promotion time, right? But price fighting isn't necessarily the best answer. There might be better solutions. Another option might be to get better product placement on the supermarket shelves, get your product placed at eye level, right? Or at the cashier counter for the last minute basket uptake, right? So there are many strategies from pricing to placement to promotions. Another strategy might simply to outspend your competitor in media, so your ad is seen more often, right? And for many other brands where you may not have the budget to spend to outspend your competitor, you cannot afford to cut prices, and you are not able to get better product placement or shelf placement, or you can't rent that shop space on Orchard Road because it's already taken or the rental's too high. You can't be in the street front prime position. You can only get a store space in the back alley, you know. So then that's where being creative with your messaging may make a difference to cut through the clutter. So to gain market share, many tactics and strategies in the whole communication mix or product mix, uh, and for different brands with different resources or constraints, you have to explore different solutions. Yeah.
That's really quite insightful. So the next question that we have is, would you like to share more about data privacy in relating to marketing?
Oh, that is extremely important, increasingly so. On every website that a marketer has to develop and maintain, there needs to be data privacy statement, right? Or in most communication activities, you need to tell the consumer that they have a choice, and whether to give you their data, and that they understand how you use that data, and how you will maintain that data, and how they can request the data to be updated or removed, right? So fundamentally, every major marketplace in the world, most major countries have their own data privacy regulations. Fundamentally, we need to let the user or the consumer choose. It has to be an opt-in, not an opt-out, where they choose to say, yes, you can take and use my data. It cannot be an opt-out where, oh, they by default you can use, and they have to tell you when you cannot use. Okay, so that's fundamental. Then you need to inform them how you intend to use the data for marketing purposes or for research purposes, and how you will store that data. It will be encrypted, it will be accessible only to people who need to use it. And how you can update or remove that data. So if I change my address, I must have the option to inform you, please change my address. Or if I want to remove my data, I want you to delist me from your database, I have to be able to do that. So there's some fundamentals that in most jurisdictions around the world, these are the fundamentals for providing the user with the choice and understanding of how their data is collected and used and maintained. Okay, some differences in the European Union, they have what is called the GDPR, which is quite different from the Singapore PDPC, right? Some differences are what is considered personal data, right? So health records, gender. So, for example, is gender considered personal private data, where certain countries allow or encourage citizens to have a wider choice, not just male, female, or I don't wish to say, I can choose what my gender is more widely, right? Or sexual preference more widely. That is considered personal data as well, right? And so what is considered personal data is one difference. Another difference is where the data is captured versus where the data is used. So in the GDPR, which is the EU's version, what matters is not where that consumer is from or where he is staying today, but rather where that data is captured. So if a French citizen staying in a student accommodation in Singapore or studying in a university in Singapore, his data is captured in Singapore, GDPR rules, laws, regulations still apply. So Singapore Institute of Technology, having a French student captured his data in Singapore, is obliged to conform to or comply with GDPR in that instance.
It just follows the nationality instead.
Right. So I think that there are a few variations, but if you're a marketeer who is looking at a regional marketplace or global marketplace, then you need to be familiar with and comply with all the various ones. Yeah.
Okay. We still have another two more questions left. So next question is, what are some of the traits or values that one have to uphold in order to thrive in advertising?
Okay, let me start with a basic human principle. And it's true not only of marketing and marketing communications, but it's true of life. Honesty and integrity. Okay, you cannot lie in your marketing communication or advertising. Okay, one saying that many people share is the facts, cannot be faked, but you can spin the story. Okay, so I might have an ugly nose. I just make sure I take the photograph of my face from an angle where my nose looks prettier lah. Okay, but I cannot go in, take a photo, Photoshop my nose and tell people that's me lah. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why there's a lot of debate about photoshopping or compositing photographs and images, and how much you can do it without falsifying the facts, right? And that's why there's a whole movement in advertising towards real people, real women. If you look at what was it, the soap brand, right? Hygiene soap brand, Dove, right? It's all about real people. So I think honesty, integrity in communications is very critical. Another important tip is curiosity, huge amount of curiosity. You need to know your product inside out. You need to know your competition inside out. You need to know your distribution, retail channels very well. And most importantly, you need to know your consumer very, very well, right? So it takes a huge amount of curiosity in your daily life to keep on wanting to learn, to find out. One thing we say is interrogate the brief. When your boss or your client says, I want to promote this product, and these are the things you can say about this product. A good copywriter or a good communicator will actually literally interrogate that product inside and out. You ask yourself any question you can about a product, test, check, use the product. You all might have seen that movie where Mel Gibson, a man, tries on a waxing strip for himself, even though it's a product targeted at women, right? So it's that whole curiosity to know the product, the marketplace, the competition, your consumer inside out. So I think honesty is one, curiosity is another. The third quality I would really emphasize is a bit of OCDism, right? Uh, Crafting and almost seeking as much as possible perfection. If you run an ad and misspell a word, it's not going to win the confidence of the consumer. If you run a promotion ad for a supermarket and your price is wrong, someone loses money. Okay, so you must be very attentive to detail and be sure that nothing is wrong or incomplete. And then if you take it a step further, that photo needs to be well lit, brilliantly composed, in order to present the best face you can for your product. So by all means, I think the best creative craftspeople are very OCD, yeah, about the quality of their work. So those are some of the tips I'd give to an aspiring practitioner.
All right, so let's just end off with the last question, a rather more candid kind of question.
Mm.
So, through your vast experience and many years working in the advertising and communication industry, so what are some of your best and worst experiences as a marketer?
This is a bit personal life, but happy to share some. Uh, I think there are beautiful moments, certainly. When you have if you create a wonderful ad and win an award, that you can float to the sky when you receive the news that your ad, your creative work has been awarded a finalist or gold or silver medal in a New York award show or a Hong Kong award show, right? So that can be very inspiring. But I think the best moments for a creative person is when someone you don't know sitting on the bus next to you looks at an ad you produce and say, hey, that's nice, I like that. So I think there's a bit of personal satisfaction there, right? But another type of best moment is when a client comes back and says, oh, this campaign that we ran saw their sales grow by more than the targeted 5%. Maybe sales grew 6% or 8% instead of 5%. Then you validated. So those are really the best experiences as a marketeer, right? Worst experience is when well, literally it's happened. You run an ad and the price for the turkey somehow went wrong. Someone made a mistake somewhere else. And instead of, for example, $1.82, it's 18.20, or worse, $1.52 instead. And then the client comes back and say, what happened? Now I have to keep the customer satisfied. I have to sell it at $1.52 instead of $1.82. I'm losing 30 cents for every turkey I sell, or for every kilogram of turkey I sell. And who's going to bear that loss? So that can be a very painful experience, And for the agency that booked that ad or created that ad, maybe you end up having to pay for that ad space and not receive your fees for doing that work. So there is a financial loss as well as a loss of pride and satisfaction in your work, right? I mean, on a larger scale, if you plan a whole marketing campaign to use this medium and that message, and you find that it doesn't work, you lose money. So recently, there was a story of a very famous juice brand in the US that changed its packaging because they wanted to reflect no additives and all that. And the horrible thing is when they changed their packaging, sales dropped by more than 5%. Immediately within the week that they changed the packaging, sales dropped and remained down. Then they realized this happened because they didn't understand the consumer habit. Most of their loyal customers didn't even look for the brand name on the product anymore. They were used to the color and the look of the packaging, and they would just go into the supermarket and pick it up on the run. With the new packaging, they didn't recognize the brand anymore. They didn't recognize the packaging. They had to spend time standing at the shelf looking out for the brand. And even when they saw the logo, worst thing is they changed the logo and the packaging design at the same time. They couldn't, the consumers, the loyal consumers who've been buying the same product for years continuously, couldn't recognize what they liked. And that actually encouraged them to start looking for, which is a better product, which has more ingredients, which has less of additives, which has higher calories, lower, and all that. And they actually ended up losing loyal customers. So then they had to switch back to the old packaging and apologize to customers and do extra in-store promoters standing at the counter to remind people, your favorite brand is back here we are. And so that kind of failure can leave very deep scars, right? Yeah, so
That's why you mentioned, being utterly curious, and of course the OCD-ness definitely comes in and helps in the line of work.
Correct.
Anyway, I don't want to take up any much more of your time really. You've taken time out from your very busy schedule to answer some of the questions that we have for the students. Once again, I'd like to thank Mr. David Phey for agreeing to answer these questions and of course to be part of our webinar. So we definitely hope to see you soon again in our webinar series and spreading your experience and your knowledge to the students.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the answers. Bye.